This photo was taken before the end of World War II, and this man sitting on a deck chair is a captain of a ship, also a man who rescued 442 Allied sailors from a sea, and here's how a story begins. It's 1942, the Japanese were closing to conquered Dutch East Indies. The Allies fought hard, but suffered heavily. Few victories does come, but couldn't compare what Japanese had achieving. Their strength had been reduced each time when Japanese showed up, and now they were left just a dozen of ships. The only choice now is to escape. Some were lucky, while some didn't. Like HMS Exeter, who spent all night to treat her wounds. She was too injured to fight, but a repair at least allowed her to reach 3/4 of her maximum speed. She left Surabaya in the evening of February 28, escorted by Pope and Encounter. The British thought a night would conceal them from an enemy, but no. Because in the next morning, the Japanese would strike them hard. Exeter's boiler room got hit, so she went dead on the water, unable to move. Knew that her time had come, she told her escorts to save themselves. Pope had gone away, but Encounter stayed, and she too joined Exeter into a bottom of a sea. Survivors were in rafts and life jackets or clinging to everything that floated, and some were coated in oil. Enduring with cold, hunger and exhaustion, they hoped someone would come and pull them out from a water. They'll get that wish, but not what they had expected. Morning's coming, and they saw a ship approaching. There are cheer and joy, like we're saved, we're finally getting out of here. But then, they saw a rising sun flag on a ship's mast. A joy turned to panic. They thought to be gunned down by Japanese. Some panicked, while some prepared themselves for the end. Fortunately, it's not what they think. Because, this is IJN Ikazuchi, and her captain was none other than Captain Shunsaku Kudo. He determined to save them no matter what cost, risky or not, it's their life that matter. Captain Kudo was well-respected and generous captain. Born in 1901 at Yamaguchi Prefecture. He graduated from Imperial Japanese Navy Academy in 1923. Stationed on several Japanese warships as midshipman and navigator, he assumed command on destroyer Tachikase, then Ikazuchi in 1940. No fisting would escape his eyes, and he treated everyone equally, so that's why he was loved by his crew of each ship he commanded, earning nickname, Kudo the Great Buddha. Now he will show the British that he came to save them, not to kill them. He went out from a bridge to tell his crew that, we'll rescue them, and Ikazuchi came to a stop. Then, his crew provided rope, net and bamboo shoots for survivors to grab on and pull onto a ship. At this point, the survivors were exhausted. 20 hours proved too much for some, and one British sailor was nearly drowned, but saved when a Japanese crew jumped off, and his friends pulled them up. The survivors were laid down on a deck, with Ikazuchi crew provided them with food, water, blankets, and swept and oil from their bodies. In the end, despite the risk of being attacked by enemy submarines and other vessels, they had rescued 442 sailors from Exeter and Encounter. Captain Kudo greeted the crew, saying, "You fought bravely. You are now honored guests of the Imperial Japanese Navy." With this, the crew was given a warm hospitality with almost no restrictions, except for a ban on smoking at sunset to avoid being detected by the British submarine. The next day, they would be transferred to the captured Dutch hospital ship. Before they left, the British officers raised their hands in a salute to Captain Kudo, and the soldiers waved their hands in gratitude. Then, Ikazuchi sailed away into a horizon. 2 years later, she would be hunted down by USS Harder, and then sunk with all hands. The sinking was a total shock for Captain Kudo, as he dreamt, seeing Ikazuchi crew gathered around him in a circle, shouting, "Captain! Captain!" before quietly disappearing. When he woke up, he realized he had lost his beloved ship. He would go on to commanded Ikazuchi's sister, Hibiki, before left a navy when a war had ended. After the war, he moved to Kawaguchi to work at a clinic, run by his niece. He never told anyone about this dramatic rescue, and kept his mouth shut until the end, before finally passed away in 1979 due to stomach cancer. This incredible story remained in dark for years, until Sir Sam Fell, a survivor from Encounter, then British diplomat, published this story on American Magazine, but it wouldn't came into an attention until around 2000s when he'd been invited to tell about Captain Kudo's rescue to a public, and in 2006, he visited Captain Kudo's grave, and in 2008, he would say this at a press conference. "I have never forgotten the kindness with which we were rescued in a small destroyer after being adrift in the Java Sea for 24 hours, and the hospitality we received. I am deeply moved to be able to offer my deepest gratitude at Captain Kudo's grave. I can still picture Captain Kudo giving his speech at Ikazuchi. He was a man who embodied the spirit of bravery and Bushido. Captain Kudo finally got a recognition he deserved. And if wasn't for Sir Fell's determination, a story of this incredible rescue might be completely forgotten."